Welcome to Azure Infinitum Podcast. This is your host, Reika Fujishima, also known as Hikaru Kazushime around the web. With us today is our host, okay, sorry.
No, we're keeping that
No, I
in
had
now.
a hair on my lip.
We're keeping that in now.
We leave that in?
I'm your
Okay.
host, and with us is your host.
We need to do a blooper reel at the end of
Swear
the
to
year.
God.
Oh my God.
That would be funny, yeah, because I have most of the raw recordings. Okay. Okay. Well, with us today is our hosts Oshkosh B'gosh, Nora Swift, Mistithgar Arodica, and Baby Shoes. Tonight is out. The three of us. We have a ghost. Okay, the four of us will be just talking about some upcoming Azure events, as well as some fun stuff we have prepared on the podcast. We have some in-FUN-itum facts. See what I did there?
Oh.
And that joke.
Trust me, it's nearly ballistic. So
Yeah, I was gonna say Reika lives off of dad jokes. So
well, have a very happy Valentine. Yeah.
Yes, it's going to be
I'm pitching all of you off the ship.
very reference to Red Mage spells there. Very fantastic. Very Valentines. So let me see here. Okay, I'm going to pull up. There's going to be some editing here in the beginning. Let me just pull up the Valentine's Day thingy here. Don't know why I didn't have that prepared already. Real fast here. And here we go. Okay. So, coming up this weekend on Sunday, we have our first ever Azure Valentine's Day for 2023. No, this is not something that we have done before. We have done a Valentine's Day themed event in the past. We had something called Be My Ayor Heart, like Eorzea, My Ayor Heart. And it was a sort of raffle/date auction event. And the donations not donations, but the bids, I should say, went to the FC chest. It raised some funds, and there was a little story involved as well between light and darkness and which power was going to overtake the other side, and characters that were actors and everything. And it was kind of an interesting thing that we used to do a long time ago, starting in 2016, and then as of we did it for a few years, and as of 2020, we officially dropped it due to complications that can surround date auctions. So
due to 2020.
Then due to 2020. There you go. That's all that extra pandemic stress and and I just saw your message. Missed every time there's a dad joke. Can we please have a little graphic with the Rothgar pop up that says groan. And we've been actually looking for ways to improve the podcast. We've had some feedback about
I will volunteer my character for that graphic.
some things like that. But that'd be great. Maybe an emote as well. That'd be hilarious. That way we can post an emote in Discord too. But scaling back to our Valentine's Day plans, we have a fun little event on first Sunday. This is the first in what's going to be 2023 and going forwards. New plans to do a new seasonal series of Azure Day events. So all Azure Day events are special days where we do back-to-back mini games, sometimes parades, raffles, we do contests, game shows, give out prizes. We have a lot of fun. Most of it's social events, and some of it does include content from the game as well, such as like our Need for Speedgens run.
Yay, I'm so glad that's back.
And yeah, we're doing it again on Sunday. I'm gonna get to that in just a second.
Let's
The
go.
Time Mage Challenge, and so the plan for this year was to do a couple of new ones. We normally have our Azure Starlight Day, which is the Christmas version of celebration, or Christmas time, Christmas time version of in-14's FF14's Christmas theme event. It's their Starlight Day, so we have Azure Starlight Day, and then we normally also do our yearly Azure Saints Wake, something that was it feels like a newer tradition to me because we started it in 2018, but it's not newer anymore. It's something we've done 4 or 5 times now. So that is usually it for the seasonals. But now outside of our normal Azure Day weekends, like our anniversary or the 3-day quarterly celebrations, we have these Valentine's Day. We're going to do a St. Patrick's one that's not named yet, and a Easter themed one as well. So that way the earlier time of the year has a little bit more meat to it in terms of our seasonal or special events. The seasonals.
Excited? I'm excited.
Oh man! Oh gosh!
Those eggs so
Well, I figured it'd be pretty over easy to put together, and we'd. Did you catch that?
all
I mean-
the egg puns have got my brain scrambled.
Oh my god! You got to it before me. I was going to say that. I was going to say we keep making these jokes and getting our brains scrambled.
Shield bash, shield bash, shield bash, shield bash.
I mean, don't forget to check the site. You see, we're going to be posts for these events. They'll contain the yoke of it, and.
I have a bat.
Sorry, I
will
couldn't.
get a
I
bat.
couldn't. I was trying to go forward with that, but I just couldn't. So for Valentine's Day on
Tracks are
Sunday.
showing it.
Oh no! Oh my God! We've got to break out of the shell, or else we're gonna be here all day. So. Okay. All right, guys. All right. We gotta settle down.
Hard boiled to entertain this malarkey.
Oh my God. Okay. It's not Easter yet. It's Valentine's. Okay. So this Sunday, we are going to have a night of mini games and raffles. It's if you've been to an Azure Day event before, it's going to be kind of the same idea for back-to-back events, but this one's just a few hours. It's meant to kind of just be a light, casual, fun thing. It does have a pretty interesting finale. I'm going to get to that first, but let's go over some of what to expect on Sunday. So in our FC Estates cellarage, as it's called, or the bottom floor, in Final Fantasy XIV, we have a Valentine's party zone set up, and it's a pretty nifty little setting. Where the event will basically have a hub for the night's activities. So if you're listening to this podcast, know that 99.9% of our events take place in FF14. That's kind of the core of our community. So if you're listening, you're not in 14, you might want to consider signing up and maybe coming along and joining us. We have a lot of fun in game.
Free trial runs up to level 60, including the award-winning expansion Heavensward.
I am so happy that you are here to say that. I was thinking that. I was thinking about the meme.
Copy pasta, the copy pasta.
You can actually get shirt that on it.
I know, it's great.
Oh yeah, definitely. There's a lot. There's like merch with that saying on it now.
Right?
So,
There's an entire subreddit called that. I think.
yeah. Oh my God. So our first event taking place on Sunday is and these are all puns on like song names. So song Light My Fire. This one's Light My Fire. Raffle off. So let's kick off with downstairs at our FC hall in the party zone. We're going to be raffling off a bunch of sweet new FF14 patch 6.3 latest patch items and prizes using our flash raffles. That's where we hit /random in the game. It does a little dice roll, and we have a few different ways of determining who wins. Sometimes highest roll, sometimes it's the lowest roll, sometimes meet in the middle, or maybe you have to do a mystery roll where you got to match the roll that I roll at the end. We'll see. Following that, for just about 15 or so minutes, and we've got several of these raffles planned. After that, we're going to have an hour-long event, which is a Valentine's version of Need for Speedgens, our dungeon speedrun event that we do on Azure Day weekends. This one's called the Time Mage After Time Mage Challenge. Get it? Time after time.
Cyndi Lauper wants her music back.
So you come on down to the Valentine's Party Zone downstairs FC Hall for event grouping around 5:15 PST. It's also going to be 8:15 EST or 7:15 CST if you're in Central US. We're going to be forming parties of 2. They're going to take on the Time Mages Unsync Dungeons Speedrun Challenge, which consists of a series of dungeons that partners will have to clear as fast as possible. So fly on the wings of love as fast as you can in this team-based elimination challenge. The top 2 quickest duos are going to pass the challenge and win a grand prize. So there's going to be a series of dungeons that are going to be announced. We're going to unsync run them, and it's real fun to watch too, even if you're not in the challenge, because you can see like parties popping in and popping out. And so eliminating the elimination of Need for Speed runs, was real fun last Azure Day. On Starlight Day. We did one on Starlight Day.
That was
and
fun.
We used
That was absolute chaos.
that little like what do you call it, terrace
Landing.
or plateau up there that we have upstairs near the FC Hall. It was a nice way to clearly see who was
The
logging in
place
and
where
out.
we play Guess the Music during Wondrous Wednesdays.
Yeah,
Do you guys do that?
basically, right. Yeah, sometimes. Like, it's an unofficial thing.
Okay.
We'll
I'm like,
just sit around while we're waiting for grouping, and music will be played, and we'll try to guess what it is.
and so after that, we'll have another quick raffle off, crazy little thing called raffle off, trivia raffle off actually. So like with a lot of our things, we try to innovate over time. We take a look at what kind of mini games and actually this goes with all content that Azure supports and produces. Anything that we do, we try to kind of hyper analyze it and then look for any ways we can improve. So now that's happening with raffles. Back at, I think it was Anniversary Azure Day, we did like an elimination flash raffle thing, and then with a dungeon at the end. Like people actually
really cool.
had a really good reception to it. Yeah, they were like, "Wow, this like really mixes it up." So don't want to make it like too heavy of a thing to just enter a raffle, but also want to make it mixed up than just your standard rolling, which people still are get really excited for. But if it's the same thing for like a whole day, sometimes having a few different variations is nice. So this one's a trivia raffle off. So imagine our trivia rush game where we ask a question with like 20 seconds to answer, and you gotta be fast. The fastest person who will basically be the first person to guess the flash question will win a flash raffle. So they gotta basically, it's like a flash question. There won't be rolling involved.
So Nora's just going to win all the prizes.
Well, I mean,
Well, I mean,
Never
if I
know.
wanted
You never
to,
know.
She would just win all that.
you never know. I mean, we had a couple people that were pretty fast in Trivia Rush, but Nora is among the speediest. So then we have our Valentine's commemorative screenshot. It does say that it's for 15 minutes on the website, but give or take a couple minutes isn't going to hurt anything. We wanted to make sure this was posted up way ahead of time, so folks knew that 6:30 p.m. PST. Also, that's 8:30 p.m. CST and 9:30 p.m. EST. That's all at the same time there, happening, where we do a commemorative screenshot. It's where we all group up and have our first ever Azure Valentine's Day group photo, and it's gonna be 2023 is the very first year that we're gonna do a group photo for this one. It's a great chance to be in our large community screenshots. It makes Azure history. It'll be shared across our media, and it's a great memory to make too. You can look back on that day, commemorate. It's the very first time that we did an Azure Valentine's Day. And to kick off Sunday night, grouping at 6:45 p.m. PST. That's 8:45 p.m. CST and 9:45 p.m. EST is the return of the Ver, the Very
Yes.
Valentine's Day. Scarlet Rhapsody will I will always love Ver. Events limited to red
Whitney
mages
Houston.
only.
I like it very much.
Oh, it's very fantastic. The event's going to be limited to red mages only. So if you remember, if you've been in our community a couple years, you might remember towards the end of Shadowbringers, we did something called Scarlet Rhapsody. That was our 24-man red mage near run that actually cleared the first 2 near raids while they were still in the same expansion, while the expansion they were from was still current. and it was a lot of fun. It was like 3 hours to get to that point because of how crazy it is for red mages.
There was also a lot of grouping.
There was a lot of grouping.
Get 24 red mages
And,
together.
when we did that, it was the first time we ever did something like that. So, you know, we're gonna we fine-tuned a few things, but you know, we just say that whoever shows up, you know, you just ask for patience. The more of us that are red mages that can get in there, the better. The better. So. We don't know which alliance raid, which 24-man raid is going to be picked, because that's going to be decided on a poll that's going up very soon. It's going to be presented, you know, tonight when I log in, or tomorrow, depending on how long editing takes after this recording. But as of this recording, tomorrow for us is Saturday. That's the assembly, and then we're going to have a good, you know, maybe 24 36 hours plus of voting. We're going to see what raid we're going to run, what raid series, I mean, because we're going to attempt a trilogy. We don't know if the earlier ones might be easier than the later ones. It's very possible.
Crystal Tower is going to be gnarly because red mages are missing a lot of their kit at that level.
Oh boy. Well, we'll see what happens.
Over raised.
I don't know if we're gonna have to, you know, open up the PF or not. You know, it just really depends. But we would really love it if you know, as many people can show up for that as possible, so we can have a really fun red mage run, because we don't do this very often. You know, mainly because it's a logistical thing, and there's not a lot of need for it, but it is fun. It is fun, and people have been asking, you know, when are we gonna do a crazy type run again? And so, hey, better, you know, on the day with lots of red.
Yep. I was gonna say, I still think we could have cleared Tower.
Yeah. Tower at Paradigm's Breach.
Paradigm's Breach.
Yeah.
I really think we could have done it. It just took so long to get set up and rolling that by the time we got to it, everybody's like, I'm crashing.
Yeah, that's the third near raid in the Shadowbringers 24-man raid series from 14's third expansion, crossover with the Near game franchise.
One of the goats.
Definitely. Well, the first two, you know, are pretty amazing, and then the third one's also really amazing. But when we did our Scarlet Rhapsody event in 2021, God, it feels like yesterday. It you know, we were like, wow, you know, we're fighting all these trash mobs, and we're like, oh, you know, this is possible. You know, you get that feeling of we can do this, and then you start facing challenges, but then it's just like a raise off basically. For a while, but
like at least a third of our red mages became Procure bots.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I notice I'm really low on the threat list. I should probably just be the one curing, which was my role, because I had Ori in my group, and she's like out there smashing face. I'm like, my job is to keep Ori alive.
Oh yeah, her red mage is her main. You know, typically that's her main. So you know, she's doing, you know, high end stuff all the time with that. So
yeah,
that's the more folks around that, you know, are used to maximizing their gameplay, you know, to a high degree with the best gear and all that. That's gonna be you know, strong. What am I looking for? Like, I'm trying to say, like, you know, a strength to the group. That's what I should say. Versus like if you just geared it with you know, basic gear, you got unsync is what makes it. It kind of offsets that lack of tank, if you know what I mean. So let's see here. Okay, what is there anything you guys are looking forward to for Sunday?
Always Red Man group.
Yeah.
I know it's Scarlet Rhapsody. I always call it Red Man group, and I'm always down for it.
I have missed that every single time we've run it before, so I am super hyped.
Yee. Screw the Super Bowl. I'm gonna be Red Mage.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, our event is probably going to conflict with like the end of the Super Bowl. But you guys watching the game?
No.
No.
I will be watching the Puppy Bowl.
I watch the Puppy Bowl in the background. I watch the commercials the next day.
Funny enough, I actually have money on the Super Bowl this year.
Sports theater for stupid people.
Oh! Hit in my face.
Oh, I was just quoting. I was just quoting Philomena Kunk. I've been watching Kunk on Earth, and that series is hilarious.
Hey, we can edit this part out, but can we put, like, when I say, like, too small, can we just put a graphic of a Rothgar looking down at a Lala?
We could take a specific screenshot of me and Misty for that.
Yes, yes.
Or me and Misty and Shoes. And
Wait, why just...
We got 2 Lalas.
Why'd you say edit it out?
Oh no, me saying the part to add that in.
Oh.
We're talking logistics of the video, not actual podcast content anymore.
Oh, it's good. It's good. It's good. I mean, it's
leave it all.
It's
in.
fine to leave in. Yeah, I mean, the more I can leave in, like the faster I can get this thing edited. So, but it's not.
It just makes it funnier when they see the graphic and then we talk about it, and then there's another graphic. I'm just like, silly, isn't it?
That would be the best if it happens the second you say it, and then we talk about it afterwards.
Yeah.
Oh my god, we like receive animated.
We live in the retcon reality. Let's
go. The most things that I usually try to edit is like when we have like a long break or pause that's a little bit too long. So like listening to it becomes kind of like droll because you're like, oh, there's a long pause, then another long pause, or if something just comes out that's just doesn't hit right or might be awkward. It's really rare. I don't know if we've even ever had that, but I know maybe a couple comments we might have made during certain like there's one game specifically that was a Game Award nominee that was like kind of controversial, so things like that. But other than that, you know, everything's pretty much fine. Like I don't have a lot of editing. It just takes listening to the podcast. So we have a 2-hour episode. It's like takes about 4 to 6 hours of you know, fully getting it ready and putting it up.
You have to go back through and make sure it flows properly when it's
definitely
edited.
Yep.
Yeah.
Maybe a little making of segment on the podcast.
I've done a little bit of video and audio editing, and it is.
Oh yeah, it's time consuming.
You got a 2-hour video that's audio only. That's 6 hours minimum.
Yep.
Like
yep.
There's video to go with it. Oh my god.
That's no joke. Yeah.
Quadruple that.
That's another reason why you know, especially with how busy I am and trying to fit this in, and it's normally fine. But if we were to do this weekly, it'd be a little too hard. It'll be a little bit too much editing for me. And then if we added in video with the podcast, it'd be hard for me right now, unless I had at least. You know, somebody else helping with that portion, but it's like, I mean, I think it's fine for where we're at right now.
That would be so much fun. We have like video of our characters like around the table chatting.
I would love that. Some people have actually asked if we had icons that would like light up, like you see on Discord as we're talking, so they know who's talking.
I guarantee we could get Glitchy to make us something for you.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
we could.
and I could see that, but anything more than that's going to be a lot more editing.
Oh my god! Imagine we turned Glitchy and Alice together on it.
What was that, Osh?
Oh my.
I was saying, anybody who's out there listening, who's in the community, who's a video editor and wants to help out, hey.
Alice, this is your call to return to Azure.
Speaking of, I'm glad to see her and Fizzy Fish hanging around more lately.
Probably different Alice.
Fizzy Fish.
Oh. Yeah, Sebastian.
Oh, okay.
It's Sebastian LaCroix. So Seabass and LaCroix is a fizzy one.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I remember
for years.
The first time I ever tried LaCroix, the drink, I had no idea what to expect.
Wait, LaCroix's a drink?
Yeah, it's a soda. Yeah, I guess.
It's a sparkling water.
Yeah, but this was like back when I was about 13, and I saw the box, and I was like, oh, it's like a pink and purple box. I was like, oh, it's pretty. Like I got it, and I was like, what is this? And then I tasted it. I was like, oh god, I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting some kind of like cherry soda or something. I had no idea what I was doing. Like I just bought a case from like Winco, and it was just like, what is this? Like,
this can was in a truck that used to transport strawberries. Somebody described what a coconut tastes to you through a like fuzzy cell phone. It tastes like coconut, but static.
Okay, let's see. We are 23 minutes in. So let's try to keep it to about an hour and 15 max. Like we've had the last couple episodes, we were like 2 hours, so that was a little bit more straining. That Star Wars episode. Oh my god! Like.
I'm stopping it now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because we're gonna go on like way too long. We can start on Star Wars. Everybody loves Star Wars here, so
goes here.
Whether it's just like geeking out about it or actually like complaining about sequels and stuff, but it can go on for a while. And yeah, so for where we're at right now in the podcast, I think our current just our current form is getting the job done. One of the main reasons that we started Azure Infinitum podcast was actually to provide an audio way for not only folks to get to know the hosts that are here, which are primarily, mostly predominantly council members, but also, for those that are on the go, maybe you can't be around at the time of our assemblies, or watching the assembly footage, archive takes a while. You have a audio thing to listen to. Whether you are a member that goes for a jog, or maybe works out, or you're just commuting to work, or something like that, it's nice to just throw on our show here and just kind of get caught up on what's going on in the game in Azure, and 14 in our Destiny wing, or any other silly stuff we talk about. It's just kind of an additional way to not only stay informed, but like I said, get to know us and our community as well.
In 5 miles, turn left.
And even if we, even if we have,
don't do that to people.
Even if we have like smaller amount of views, we're still like say 1,000 views, can be considered small in some avenues. But with our in-game community being around 300 active members, 300 to 400 active members in game, then that's still a huge chunk of people who decided to listen, to the episode, especially if they listen to the whole episode. So that's the point we're trying to serve right now. We would love to see 1,000 views, but we're also not, we're not too worried about that. We just want to make sure that all of our listeners that listen to our podcast here are enjoying what we do, and like we always say, if you have any suggestions or something you'd like to see us talk about, definitely communicate. Let us know. We got a suggestions box in Discord, and you can always comment here on the videos. And I'd like to start a new segment for the podcast. It's kind of a fun little thing that we can talk about when we don't have major news, or we're not right on top of an Azure day. We have our Valentine's Day, but we talked about that. Or huge patch to go through, things like that. Would be sort of a Azure lore segment, or a in-FUN-itum facts segment.
The groan sign comes back out.
I saw you type it earlier, and I knew you were going to say it.
What's really funny? There's a in-FUN-itum facts about how in-FUN-itum facts started.
Oh, God.
So a long time ago, we used to have a actual Azure FC magazine. Did you guys know that?
I did not. That was before my time.
That was before me.
It was before all of you, and or at least all of you here today. What we would do is, it was called the Infinitum Insider, and this was like way before Azure Podcast, way before a lot of things that we had set up, before we had our Discord even. This is when we started. We actually started this. The first one, I'm trying to remember, I think it was late 2015, and it ran until about either late 2017, or maybe, I think the last one was late 2017 or early 2018. But for a good 3 years, about every quarter or so, I would put together a 20, and I know it's a large range, but 20 to 50 page, depending on, because in the beginning it was smaller, so it got bigger towards the end. But the final one was a 50 pager, little digital magazine that was set up like a magazine. With different features. Sometimes there'd be crafting interview, or there'd be a job guide, totally, total visual graphic job guide, set up. Almost said vibe guide. And readers could not only read about Azure events or see coverage of Azure events. So when there's an Azure Day, there'd be an entire segment of the magazine, like a 4-page spread on the events, what we did with screenshots and graphics and all kinds of stuff. And it put a lot of work into it. And it would take me a couple weeks to put one together when it was getting time for a new issue. And there was something I thought, what's a fun small thing we can throw in for the magazine? In-FUN-itum facts section. And so right now, what I'm staring at it right now in real life while recording this. I'm looking at one of the pages that I saved from the well, actually saved them all, but they're just scattered. But one of the ones I brought up for some notes for today is one of those pages from a 2017 edition of the in-FUN-itum facts from the old Infinitum Insider. And what's really interesting was there's a lot of Azure history in these magazine issues, and I was actually planning on uploading most of it to our website. Just it's kind of like a legacy content type thing, and people can look back on the the history, and see what an Azure magazine would have looked like, and it's actually quite interesting. It became a little bit extra. That's why we stopped doing it. It was kind of like more effort than what I was able to produce at the time with everything else going on in my life at the time. And today we kind of have a more wider avenue of getting information out there, and seeing coverage of events and screenshots and things. And also with the in production Azure News site that's currently in merger with REN at the moment, there will be articles very similar to what was in the Infinitum Insider in the past. That'll be viewable, readable, and consistently going all the time, every week on the website that's in the making right now. So it's going to go with our current website. So our current website's not going to change. It's going to go with our current website. Everything will be linked and unified very, very soon. I was just kind of finishing up some things the other day. So everybody listening, get excited, because what we talked about last episode on the Azure REN merger, I think we mentioned a little bit, and we also talked about it last assembly. We're much more closer now. I had a couple setbacks in recent weeks, but it cost me a little bit of time, but we are very, very close to launching that. And this is a project that's been in the working or something I wanted to do for a really long time. So even back when the Infinitum Insider went down, even as far back as 2018, I was like, this is something I would like to do, eventually, is in some form, is create more news posts for Azure on a website, instead of releasing one giant magazine with 25 articles every 4 quarters and having to gather all that content at one time and all that. So it's going to be really neat. But also, we tend to have some things in our history that fall along the comical side.
Yeah, there's a lot of inside jokes in Azure.
And as far back as we go, there were inside jokes, and here we are today we still have a lot of funny inside jokes, and I'm sure there's going to be some even new ones that we haven't encountered yet. I thought it would be pretty funny to talk about some of that here today on the podcast. So let me see here really quick.
I still love that, Claudia, if he's online and not in the static when Wondrous Wednesday's announcements are going on, somebody needs to help Osh unlock coils.
Yup.
And I always go along with it, and I love our community, because we'll always have a person or two going, "Oh man, I'll help," and we're like, no, you sweet summer child, we are just messing around.
Yeah.
My favorite is when we had a new guy start gathering people to do coils for Osh.
Yeah.
Wait, gathering for what?
So it was
coils for me.
When Claudia made the joke, and someone started saying, "Okay, no problem. I got 2 other people with me already who need to do it anyway. Come join us." Everyone's like, "Oh my god, what's happening?"
I thought you said people were gathering to get clothes for Osh. What is it? Osh running around naked?
Coils.
No, I'm a Lalafell. I can't do that.
Eventually.
Now, my Makote. Hey.
So yeah, here's a couple examples of in-FUN-itum facts. There's a few things that are kind of stat-wise type interesting things. We're like, oh wow, that's really interesting, and then other things that are hilarious. So for a stat-wise type thing that I had released back in this was from late 2017, early 2018, I think. With the release of Stormblood expansion, Azure Infinitum hit a new activity milestone, such as having 150 plus active online members in game at a single time, and with a total of 85% of the company's 370 plus roster at the time logging in throughout the 24-hour cycle. At the time of the writing of this fact in early 2018, Azure Infinitum would see 100 to 110 members actively online at one time post-expansion launch, with about 80% of the roster logging in through a 24-hour cycle. With the expansion's hype and release, players returning to 14 alongside newbies, and those interested in joining an active, friendly, and organized community brought over 80 new members to Azure Infinitum in less than 1 month. That was a record for recruitment at the time that Stormblood came out. And if you guys know Troa in RFC, he was one of those 80 people that joined.
Yeah, Troa is awesome. Shout out to Troa.
Shout out to Troa. Troa is one of our legacy members. Been with us going on 6 years now. And as
I'm
for
always excited to see
a
Charlotte show up for stuff.
oh, definitely, yeah, yeah. Charlot's a great guy. He's got a lot of enthusiasm for the game and our community. You seldom don't see, I don't think you ever see him not in Azure Blue.
Yeah.
And here's a funny fun fact, not widely known in our history. There is a strange individual that has shown up from time to time. This individual was named Torvald. He was a like 6 to 7 foot tall Highlander here with long hair, and he would show up completely naked, and he would crash the end of our main events during Azure Days, appearing randomly. The tall and ripped Highlander would come shouting into Infinitum Hall or around the outside of the estate, merry and boisterous and yelling and searching for his lost chest hair, boasting himself until he disappeared oddly as he arrived. Torvald, he's kind of like a Viking-like character, has appeared since the earliest days of Azure. His purpose and whereabouts are still shrouded in mystery. Now, what's really funny about that is we had a murder mystery event that we used to do during Azure Days. We haven't done it in a couple years, but one of our event mansions we would use sort of as like a set. You know, it would be decorated to match a murder mystery plot. And one year there was a murder mystery that ended with Torvald being responsible, and he didn't actually murder anybody. It was a whole plot on how something like that was a total accident happened because he was still in search of his lost chest hair. Because famously, there is no chest hair in the game. So
Yeah.
and so it was really funny because he was always, he'd show up, he's like, my hair, like shouting at people and stuff, and nobody knew what the crap was going on, and it was hilarious. And then he brought like tons of gifts.
To this very day.
Yep. And
Still
yeah.
no chest hair.
Yep, still
When
no.
you said my hair, all I heard in my head was that stupid My Brand commercial.
Yes.
Yep. So who knows if Torvald will appear again? Who knows? But it was a quite comical character that appeared for a number of years there. Another thing people may not know is the 2 blazing blue torches that reside next to Infinitum Hall's front door have more meaning than just a decoration. Technically they're considered braziers, I think is what they're called. One stands for the Free Company's membership, the other stands for the Free Company's leadership. Both go hand in hand in a cycle of harmony and order, and thus exist by our door to our hall. So fun facts there. There's another thing a lot of people don't know is certain retired events, and you might think like, okay, well, why do we care about old, talking about events for old content? Well, some of these things were actually quite silly, and it's kind of funny to look back on our first year when we were just trying to figure things out. We had no idea, what was going to work and what wasn't going to work. So one of our very first events that ever was created, besides Treasure Thursdays, that got retired real quick because it just did not have consistent turnout, was an event called Azure Bazaar. And it was an event where crafters would gather up together to trade resources and craft in the cellar. It was quickly done away with, as communication about crafting could actually be done anytime. And later Azure Industry LS Link Shell Creations saw that during during crafting gatherings, or our crafting community would actually connect a lot easier through chat any other time. Then we had a Wednesday event before the creation of Wondrous Wednesdays. Wondrous Wednesday's been running since, I think, late 2016, because when Wondrous Tales came out, it wasn't that long after that we were like, hey, like this is a great idea. Let's do this.
Is that our longest running event?
No, Treasure Thursdays is starting in 2014.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Treasure Thursdays started when
Wondrous Wednesdays didn't stop at any point though, and Treasure Thursdays did.
Treasure Thursdays would normally see a break right before expansions. Before Heavensward, we took it off for about a week and a half. Prior to Stormblood, we took it off for about a month. And prior to Shadowbringers, we didn't take it off. But prior to Endwalker, we took all events off to give everybody a break for like several weeks leading up to it, because it was a big to do. So it was a big deal.
I still ran Wondrous Wednesdays though, so haha.
Oh yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's right. You did. Yeah, you kept the flag burning for. I mean, you kept the fire burning. The flag. You kept the fire.
Burning.
God, no, the fire. They kept the fire burning. Sorry, I was going to say you were holding the line. You were you're holding down you had your flag planted. You were holding it on the line. That's what I meant to say. And you kept the fire burning for Wondrous Wednesdays anyway. But prior to Wondrous Wednesdays, what we did for about a year and a half, almost 2 years of the first couple years of Azure, we were like, well, Wednesday's midweek. Why don't we have a midweek break and not schedule anything for Wednesday? That was the first thought. And go, okay, midweek is chill. We don't, have a lot to worry about. And we didn't have events every day anyway. We just figured, on top of the other days that we didn't have events back in the beginning, like we didn't do Fridays until we didn't do anything for Friday until Eureka came out in Stormblood. But Friday was always open. Oh, actually, no, sorry. We had 24-man Fridays. That's right. I keep forgetting we used to do that. We moved that to Tuesday because of the reset day. But Friday would still be open on 8-man raids. So when 8-man raids were out on Monday and Tuesday, Monday used to be catch up, and Tuesday was post weekly reset. So we do the main one. During the 8-man raid series, we didn't do anything on Friday because there would be no 24-man that was current. So Friday would be open during that time, and then there were other days of the week to be open. Like Sunday didn't have anything for a very, very long time till our PvP thing. There was our first PvP thing that didn't really work out, and then our current Super Azure Slayer Sunday that's been going for a couple years. But way back when, Wednesday was open midweek, and then we said, what if it's a social event day instead of a content event day? And that's kind of an interesting thing because today we don't do like that unless we have social events on Azure Day weekends. But believe it or not, there was a game show that we used to run every Wednesday prior to Wondrous Tales. We had a game that is based on the real life game called Chain Reaction, a word game played for several months in 2016 every Wednesday before Wondrous Tales. Wednesday was an empty slot. And also because of the crafting buffs, people would actually use Wednesday as a crafting day. They would actually go, well, I'm going to craft on Wednesday because there's crafting buffs. And then, of course, like I said, it was a relaxed day as well. Chain Reaction wasn't user-friendly to host, though. It was took a lot of reliance on chat, like gymnastics, and it grew old after a time. We came up with a better game show to play, well, several of them actually for Azure Days, and then better utilized Wednesdays. Originally, our Azure Days started as a much shorter event. Actually, used to happen 2 or 3 times a month. And it was in the middle of the week too. It was on a Wednesday because, like I said, Wednesdays were those open days, and it was a couple-hour event that basically would have a short recruitment drive followed by giving out tabards, and then the company tabard items, a couple raffles, and then sometimes a pony farm at the end. So kind of like the length of our Azure Valentine's Day on Sunday, but every couple weeks on a Wednesday. It was a little bit too much for one day, and then it got better organized as a quarterly thing.
And by the fact that it was pony farms, you could tell how long ago this was.
Yeah, yep, pony farms exclusively. So not just Mega Mountathon, like we have today. That's a variable event, that fits needs of attendees between several expansions, but just pony farming. And
first and third, come out and get your ponies through burbs or ponies through doggos.
You better say we do doggos too. Thank you.
Here's a funny thing.
We try doing Gwibbers, but it's not always the best for that.
It can be mixed, especially with mechanics that are still really important to pay attention to. Where Mega Mountathon is kind of meant to be like a quick, flash sort of farming. Constantly killing something in under a minute.
In and out, 15-minute adventure.
Yeah. Not the whole event, but per fight. We kill we do go just blaze through these things that take seconds to kill, and then go through, and then the slightly harder ones, but they're not hard because they're still unsynced. They just take a couple minutes. But here's a funny one. This is a fact that combines comedy with event history. We had an event called Meatball Monday.
Okay.
And Meatball Monday was literally an extra map day that was like Treasure Thursdays. And the reason why we called it Meatball Monday is because we had a lieutenant in our history who was famous for just no matter what we were running, whether it was raids or anything, he would use the phrase, "Give me that meatball, boy," like every time. Every time we were doing anything, just mid-raid, he's like, "Give me that meatball, boy. Give me that meatball." He just kept saying it all the time. It became an inside joke, like today's inside jokes. You just had to be there. And so this guy, who was famous for hating elves, and very, 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 like probably the biggest Maelstrom fan I think you've ever seen in your life. The Rogadin-tastic lieutenant, who was always in search of this grand meatball that was often rumored to exist at the end of Aquapolis or at the end of certain boss fights, aka Aqua P, as we used to call Aquapolis, which I coined. That was a term that I coined back in the day. And now we would say, the famous meatball would be at the end of Aquapolis, and we try to get to the meatball, aka Floor 7 back in the day, on Mondays, and it was Meatball Monday. So inside jokes at certain points in our history have actually transformed into events. Can you imagine that today?
I was gonna say, Redman Group started as a joke. What?
Oh yeah. Wait, Redman Group?
Oh, I always call it Rhapsody Redman Group.
Oh yeah, the Red Mage Run, yeah, Redman Group.
we were just talking about it. Like, I wonder if we could do this. Oh, wouldn't it be funny if we actually tried? And then we did it.
And then we did. Yep. Oh boy. Let me see here. Just going to my other fact, in-FUN-itum fact sheet.
Fighters.
Yeah, Meatball Monday. That was a thing for a little while. It wasn't super long, but it went on for a little bit. Oh, hey, here's a big one. Let's see here.
Spider pit.
Oh yes, thank you. I completely forgot. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you guys, as well as our listeners here, listening with us, our famous spider pit story, and to the reaction of our hosts here, who I think you guys know the story, right? Do you guys all know the story, or?
Yeah.
Have you heard the story, Mist?
Yeah, I was there when you told it.
Okay. I can't remember who heard the story or not. Okay.
I know the spider pit. I know about the corner buried there. I know we had to do hide and seek in there. Damn it.
Okay. So this is by far probably the weirdest and craziest story that's ever been produced between inside jokes and actual happenings in our community. So a long time ago, in a Azure far, far away, we had a big Elysian guy who was obsessed with Hotwings, okay? And he would constantly talk about Hotwings. If somebody new joined the FC, he was on it. He was like, "Do you like Hotwings?" And then depending on their answer, sometimes it's like when I ask people, "Do you like ranch?" and see what they say, and then everybody in the chat's like, "Oh God, answer right," or else
you and ranch and lag and chairs
yeah. See, we got those jokes, but this guy's Hotwing obsession was so powerful that it actually got to the point where it was just such a part of FC jokes, and we even named an airship for like 4 years. We kept the name of this airship the Hotwing, and yeah, it was I think it was our first ship was called that. So whatever the first one on the list is today, I think it's like the Valkyrie now, or whichever one we have that's the first on the list. That used to be the Hotwing, I think.
I think it's the Azure Valkyrie, yeah.
Yeah, and so the Hotwing guy, so like I said, is we're just gonna call him by the letter C. And Mr. C, he had a spider phobia, and there's nothing funny about arachnophobia, but for him, the way things went was kind of comical, because for some reason there were members who decided that they were going to mess with him by friending him and mailing him a bunch of. There's an actual spider thing you can gather. It's a real spider that's an item in the game that can be gathered. I don't know why it's a material, but it is, and it's just a spider. And they gathered a bunch of them, like tons of them, through gathering. And then, of course, back then you could only stack 99 instead of 999. But they would send him stacks of 99 spiders to his mailbox. And there was a day we were just all hanging out in TeamSpeak, back in the day TeamSpeak, and before Discord. Azure Discord didn't start till 2017, but so this happened in I want to say this happened in 2016 because the item to put a retainer in your yard didn't come out until I think 2016. But or unless it was late 15, but I think it was 2016 because I remember the Sky Pirate gear coming out around that time. So the story goes is that he went to his mailbox while being in Discord, opened up his Moogle mail in front of the FC hall, and found tons of spiders in his mail. He started screaming in the chat. And I don't think it was true like horror and fear. I think it was just like he was like frustrated. He's like, "Oh God, why?" Like screaming like.
Exaggerate for comedy.
And people knew. They were like, hee hee. We sent Mr. C a bunch of spiders. We're just waiting for him to open them up. The next time he's on, and we're all like waiting, for him to go to his mail. It was like, hey, Mr. C, I think you got something in your mail. So he goes to see him, he freaks out, and he starts doing like an emote thing where he's like dropping them all, and he's like emote, Mr. C drops a pile of spiders on the ground, and then he's like, there, I dropped them on the ground. And I know there was like a lot of RP and pretending to this story, but it made it really funny because what he did was he just took them out, threw them on the ground, took them out, threw them on the ground, took them out, threw them on the ground, and he's like, just so you guys know, I discarded them all. And it was funny because this guy's personality, you just had to get to know him. He kind of was a grumpy personality, but not like in a bad mood, if you know what I mean. Like he had a funny grumpiness to him, but he was always like friendly. He was somebody you would love to mess with, like because his reactions were hilarious. And
like messing with Meemaw now.
Yeah, in a way, yeah. With Meemaw starts activating whenever there's partying going on nearby, and the wild partying school children getting out of hand.
Get that chancla.
Meemaw gets the chancla whip, or the limit break chancla that won that one event that one time. But yeah. So what makes this story funny is actually the fact of what happened next. It got morbid, and that's what made it hilarious. So he was like, you guys suck, mailing all these spiders and stuff. You guys know I hate spiders. And sometimes what people would do, they put a link, like a shortened link, like a bit.ly link or something in the Discord that would link to a picture of a spider and tell them to click it. Stuff like that. They would mess with them like that. And yeah, they would mess with them like that. And we hear him scream in the TeamSpeak, and people would laugh at his horror. But eventually it got to the point where we were like, okay, stop doing that, because eventually he got annoyed by it. But at the time that he threw all the spiders out, I was online, and so I was like, Mr. C, like we have to do something with this pile of spiders that you left outside the FC. And people were like, oh, send them to one of our trolls or something, or something funny. And I said, emote like digs a big hole in the back behind the FC house and buries them all. And famously, we would just start calling it the spider pit. And so we're like, there's a spider pit outside, and it's just a fun fact. And that was the only part of that fact for a while. But that ended up evolving into an even more morbid story where that Mr. C went on a break for like several months. And we were used to this guy being around all the time, every day, constantly active with the FC, constantly in our TeamSpeak. In fact, he used to race somebody else that used to be in our council, who they would try to see how long they could both stay in the voice chat, and one of their records was like 32 days or something without leaving the voice chat. It was crazy, yeah. And so him being on a break was really weird because we were used to him being around, and when he was on break, people actually missed him so much that when the retainer item came out to put something in your lawn, a retainer in your lawn, I made a retainer that looked like him and put it in the lawn so that he wouldn't, it was like a fake version of him. And we also named it after him, but changed a letter. And when we would talk about it, we would put dots in front of the letters, like it was some kind of like Android with like the name, with the same name. And and when he came back, he didn't know that we had like this like clone of him in the yard, and I had just put like a pink and then I put a pink dress on it like while he was away, and just because we were all laughing and stuff, he comes back, logs in to surprise us, and sees us surrounding his fake self with a pink dress in the lawn. And this guy was really serious. He a lot of times he wore like gray or black, or had a real serious looking Ellison, and and so it was just kind of comical looking, and it's just he saw these, and he said, what the hell are you guys doing? Like, and he said, burn that thing, talking about the retainer. He's like, burn that thing. He's like, get rid of that thing this instant. And I pretended to take it away. Like, I made it to where in housing mode, it was invisible for him for a second. And then I put it back on the lawn right behind his character, and his I was assuming his camera was facing a certain direction, and I was right on that assumption because he turned around and he saw it reappear like right behind him, and he got scared and screamed. He was like, I told you to put that away. like burn that abomination.
You guys missed an opportunity to all circle around it, stare, and start saying in chat, "Ooga chaka."
Oh my god.
Or we could have been chanting Hotwings, 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 Hotwings.
Yes.
Like we were trying to summon him back to the game. And so I told him, I was like, oh, but Mr. C, we missed you and stuff. So it's basically he got so mad he emoted murdering the fake version of himself. And it was funny because we came up with this whole like weird lore about like what the retainer was, and it was like an android of him, and it had like a clone personality of him, and it was powered by a crystal in the center. And so he like stabbed the crystal in RP form. He stabbed the crystal, killed it, and it died like a horrific death in front of all of us, which was like disturbing. And then we were like, well, where do we put his dead clone body? And then I was like, oh, I know, the spider pit. In the very thing that he hates like the most. And then when he logged back in, he was like, oh good, you got rid of it. And then I was like, guess what we did? Like and he took RP like somewhat seriously, so it was kind of funny to see his reaction. And we were like, guess what we did? We buried your dead clone self in the spider pit. Now the spiders, like, they made like a home out of your like rib cage, like all this stuff. Like, it was so morbid. And he was like, God, I hate you guys so much. And then for years after that, it was bringing up the spider pit would always get a really funny reaction. It just became this like horrific, funny, hilarious thing that was behind the FC Hall. And it came up again. It came up again at Celebration in Azure Sky. We were talking about a bunch of historical fun stuff for Azure, and we did a little tour where we were going to different, what we call Azure history sites. And there's a number of those sites, and one of those sites is the backyard of the FC house, where we talked about the imaginary spider pit that's back there with Mr. C's dead clone body being an apartment for many spiders that he hates.
None of them decorated either.
And like I said, that is probably
Not a single one of those spiders put a single decoration in their apartment room.
It's probably the weirdest story in our entire history.
That got me think about all the stories I've heard.
Yeah, there's a funny list. There's a funny list. Oh boy. Let's see here. Did you know we actually?
A little bit short.
Yeah. Oh, it's okay. Yeah. Speaking of time, yeah, we are at 55. We are at 55 minutes. I got one more for this episode. One short thing for this episode. There was a time, at one time, that we were coming up with recruitment ideas. And before, we had recruitment drive was a thing that we, or recruitment contest, which we changed to drive because, it doesn't have to be a contest, but we would reward those that would get the most recruits. So it was a nice incentive for folks. And we, really early on, we would do this thing where it was kind of like a funny version of the Purge, where we would make everybody able to invite. So I was like, for the next 12 hours, everybody has the ability to invite to the FC. And that was actually that could have been catastrophic because we don't know who would start inviting, like everybody, like all 100 and something of us, like back at the beginning of Azure. And what's funny is only a few people would even do it, and then we'd see just a few recruits. But still, like, it was kind of funny, And then we were like, well, besides that, what's another fun thing we could do? We did a one-time event called Azure Open House, and we invited the whole server to come see our new FC home and see if any recruits would come and be interested. Well, it turns out a lot of people that are FC lists are often newer to the game and don't know about Party Finder as much or use it as often. So it wasn't really productive, and we ended up getting one person that came by, like one or two people that came by, and one of them was a recruit that eventually became an officer down the road. So it was actually a one-time event that had nailed a future council member. That was pretty cool. That one person's not around today, but it was pretty useful tactic. It just was very strange for us to have a server-wide open house.
Yeah, it ends up being very focused.
Yeah.
Campaign to recruit
Yeah.
this one person.
Yep.
And anybody can work their way up in Azure. That's how we roll.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I have one more that's too good to pass up. Actually, I got one more that's
go,
too.
go.
It's just too good. So we have folks in our community of all ages, all age range. Of course, we don't discriminate, and everybody's welcome here. And what's amazing is when we do actually have people who are older, like older, like 60 plus in our community. I actually find that to be really, really awesome. Just folks that are older that support gaming and are into especially gaming with their family members. A fun fact is our oldest known member on record was in his late 70s, and he was a renowned gatherer who loved gathering, and he had a 40 plus year history of gaming. This guy had been a trooper since the very beginning of gaming, and he recruited people. The people he recruited was his entire family. He had 2 children and 3 grandchildren that all joined the FC, and they were a gathering faction of their own. It was amazing. He ended up being one of the first members of Azure ever actually recruited post founding of Azure, because there was a handful of us that came from a previous community, about 13 of us in the beginning, but together him and his gathering family contributed some of the very first materials and resources that led to our company chest getting lots of seeds and even funding the FC hall in the very beginning. Fun fact. And what's funny is a while back he was it's that Azure's almost 10 years old, so he was in his late 70s. So he's getting up there, and the guy is an awesome guy. He is still playing 14. He is still playing 14. A lot of his
Nice.
pretty much all of his family that he recruited have actually moved on, but he's outlasted everybody that he brought in, and he's still out there gathering. He actually went to join a FC that was made for gathering long time ago, a long time ago, not long after we got the house. But he was always a friend to Azure and was always big on trading resources, and the eras of the game have changed. In the very beginning, all materials were expensive, even if they were just a piece of ash lumber. Something real simple, even that was something, back in the beginning. So it was really, really cool to just have this awesome older dude recruit his whole family and start this gathering faction at the same time that we were saving up for our hall. And it was just it was really cool. So that one's just too good to pass up.
Yeah. Big props to that guy.
I know. Oh,
if
totally.
you're out there listening, unlikely as it is,
Yeah.
hell yeah, man. I appreciate people like you. I wouldn't be into gaming as much as I am if it weren't for my dad. So,
Definitely. Yeah. Definitely.
Also,
I mean,
that's kind of goals we get to be that age.
yeah. I would love to be like that, being old and just having this huge gaming legacy, and then even recruiting family, in the future who aren't even born yet.
Imagine all of us in FF30 being.
right.
Final Fantasy 30. Oh my god.
I don't understand how this new brain interface works, but you young whippersnapper should join me.
Is this epic new producer named Yoshi Z, who's making the Final Fantasy 31 MMO?
Oh, I can't make jokes about my name anymore.
Or Yoshi P the second. Yoshi P the second. Alrighty. Is there anything that you guys want to bring up here? We're approaching that hour mark, so it's a good idea to spend the next 15, 20 minutes or so on something else.
I have
Everybody
one
watch. Oh,
thing
go ahead.
to say,
Sure.
and this may get cut out. Bad Dragon Ice Cream.
We'll leave
Dragon
it.
Ice Cream.
We'll leave it in. I mean,
That's another Azure in joke.
Yeah, that's another good inside
The
joke.
fact that we had to explain that to Reika.
If
okay.
you
So
want to hear the background behind this, come to stay.
I really loved when Reika announced that Team Bad Dragon Ice Cream won the Dungeon Delvers event, and she had no idea what it was at the time.
I mean, I'm just thinking of a dragon who's not behaving well, and I don't know what else to say. I had no idea what you guys were talking about. So what are they talking about? Yeah.
It's dildos. The answer is dildos.
I was about to say 18 plus warning here.
Yeah.
It worked.
Yeah.
Again, inside jokes. I hilariously, that's probably going to be an in-FUN-itum fact. And when we actually like put a place where we list all these fun facts.
Classic.
But yeah,
I will let
You had to be there.
He will be immortalized.
you had to be there.
Actually, I have a question.
Either
Do we
have-
have a list somewhere of all the powers we've attributed to Johnny's pomp?
Oh my God,
No,
that would be
we don't, but
amazing.
we should.
Yeah. For those listening, if you don't know, we have a big Rogadin guy in the FC who's got the pompadour. That's the like the classic like hair that's like a Japanese style from like the 80s when the gang members would have like the long thing coming out. Like
Just put a picture of Johnny Gat from Saints Row right here.
you got I mean there's Johnny Gat.
Well, yeah,
There's
but Johnny Gat in Saints Row doesn't really have a pomp.
I was gonna say I don't think in Saints Row he has one, but if you think of like Kuwabara from Yu Yu Hakusho, like Kuwabara hair,
Yeah, Kuwabara,
like
or like Boken no Ryu from
Definitely.
Shaman King.
yeah, those guys with the big hair that sticks, it comes out forward. Well, Johnny's known for having that. In game, they have that hairstyle. That came out around I think 2017, 2018. That hairstyle came out. So prior to that, he actually didn't have a pompadour, and there was even a time he was an all raw male during Heaven's Word. But once he put on that pompadour, he never took it off. And that he did take it off for like a glamour, but his character is known for having this big pompadour. And when you walk with it in game, the gravity actually makes it move up and down, so it looks hilarious, or dancing or anything like that. And it's just so big, it's so out there.
We love our resident chocolate row.
We like the big pampas, and so there's like almost a decade now of Johnny jokes about that pompadour. Johnny, shout out to Johnny. Johnny actually joined our FC the day we got the FC house. So we're talking like the end of November 2014 is when he joined. And the funniest thing I tell some people sometimes actually how he joined. I didn't really have any recruitment ads going out there, but I had spent time shouting, and I guess he paid attention to chat and saw one of the recruitment shouts or something. Because I don't remember doing Party Finder. I don't remember Party Finder wasn't really much of a thing early on. It came out early on in the game, but it was very simple when it first came out. Like it was more simple than a fellowship. Like it was really simple when it first came out. But he had seen an ad or something, and we're like, in the process of putting our funds together to make the house. And I get this tell from a Johnny Gat that says, "Hey, yeah, Reika, just add me to the FC." Like just that simple.
Nice.
And I was like, "Hey, this guy's got a Saints Row name," and he has been a trooper. I mean, like this guy has.
Johnny's still here to this day.
He
Shows
is
up
still
for
here.
events.
He's a ranked member in our community. He had for a long time. I think he still has the record because I don't think anyone else has broken it. Even when he took like a short break a couple times for like might have been a month or something like that. But he has the record for most assemblies ever attended. Like he attended every single Azure company meeting when it was still called company meeting before we turned it into a full-on assembly, and then all the assemblies since the beginning, like since the first assembly. There's screenshots where he's like there in like every one of the first assemblies when the hall was barely decorated, and so definitely shout out to Johnny. He's been there a long time.
Yeah.
But we had a lot of pompadour jokes, and so he has his pompadour has an ability called Pompa Power, and I think at this point it's good that we actually like write it down and actually list it. Like Miss said, it would be hilarious to have a list of what he could actually do with it, because he's
like
blocked
Chuck Norris
attacks with
facts.
it. He's stored things in it like a capsule from DBZ. You can fit anything in
I'm
it.
pretty sure we've lost a Valentine or two.
But yeah, people have gotten lost in it.
Did
I
anyone
guess
compare it to what's his name's hair from Bo at one point?
Something like
you mean,
that.
You
Yeah.
mean like Bobo's hair?
Oh my God.
Who shot the bomb out of his hair?
He would be a great character in that show. Imagine if Johnny Gat was in, like our Johnny Gat in Azure was
Oh
in
my God.
Bo, that's the real name of the show.
Sounds like enough.
That would be so funny. But yeah, this thing has actually like blocked attacks like like the Paladin's Passage of Arms. It can basically do that, but it's even more invincible. Like it's so powerful, and it's launched beams before.
I literally disappeared in it for 2 days.
Oh yeah, yep. It's a whole new world in there. Like it's a whole universe
One
of
of
its
the
own.
lalas that we had lost.
Yeah,
Yep.
yep.
Asha's just one of the lucky ones that we found.
Heck, I wouldn't be
Right.
surprised if Zur wasn't hiding in there. That's where he goes during the week. Oh boy. So yeah, that's that. I'm glad you brought that up, Mist.
That was classic.
Yeah, Johnny is one of the goats. Another shout out to Johnny. Thanks for showing up all the time for events you don't even need to do. Like, hell yeah, bro.
Alrighty, we're an hour 8 in, so I think it'd be a good time to end unless anybody had another topic to bring up.
I don't know,
No?
what's everybody doing? Like, outside of 14?
Like, what are we here doing right now?
Katsu-kan! Katsu-kan!
Oh my god.
Let's give a shout out to Katsukan.
Sorry, I'm just excited to be back going to conventions again.
Oh yeah, no.
Oh yeah, for
understandable.
sure. Yeah. They're
I'm working them this year.
You know what's interesting is with all the COVID protocol and such. Not it's. I mean, of course, it's definitely necessary. But there's a lot of ways that cons have had to adjust to that, and some of them have been easy, and some of them have been very difficult. In our industry, there's a number of laws and things that are always regulations and things that are extremely like important. They're super critical. And recently, I saw something about not to make this political whatsoever, but the fact that there is a consideration to end the the national law for vaccination requirements. So what that's actually going to do is it's going to cause cons to have to readjust again and then change a bunch of other policies and stuff. So I know one convention particularly, I'm not going to say that this is a cause for it, but Crunchyroll Expo was just announced to take a break this year. So that's one event that's been going for a few years now that's taken a break with no, they don't know if they're going to keep doing it or not because they want to keep holding Crunchyroll specific events at cons, which is something they did prior to having a con of their own.
But they were at Expo a bunch of years.
But considering the fact that there is a consideration to undo that vaccine requirement, that's going to make a lot of events open up all the way, which means attendance is going to boom again for a lot of events. But definitely remember to take all of your precautions. Definitely do what you can to stay safe and healthy.
Especially because people at anime conventions don't take a lot of precautions in general. So
Well, I mean, deodorant's a precaution that you don't find as often as we should.
I used to be on the competitive Magic the Gathering circuit. There's a certain infamous photo from like 2015 or something. I'll leave it to the imagination, but let's just say there's a reason 321 is now
You cut out a little bit. There's a reason what?
that the whole 321.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Like I know as a precaution, what I'll do is I actually have I usually have 2 bags that I'll carry. Especially one's like a laptop size bag, and I have all sorts of things in there. I have like snacks in case because I get hypoglycemic sometimes, so my sugar drops really low. I have like little snacks and things like that. One thing I did was I actually seriously no shiznick. Like I literally put in a double pack of deodorant every time in my thing, like a brand new one. I won't even bring an old one. I put a brand new one just in case because I never want to be that person ever to be that reason for that. So it's like because I mean some of our events get real sweaty, and I'm
that many people in a small space. Yeah,
oh yeah.
And also the people who are just like conning it up all weekend, never hit their hotel room.
Whoo boy, con funk. Yeah, that's something.
The funk of 40,000 years. Yeah.
Well, we got over 40,000 attendees at some of our events that we put together. The FanimeCon specifically sees between 40 and 70K. So, or at least that's pre-pandemic facts. I'm used to those facts a little more than the weird times right now. But yeah, I mean, we're whatever we can do to provide the best experience possible. But I think it's funny that we've actually seen viral videos of people who are walking around holding like "Remember your deodorant" signs. That makes me laugh. That makes me laugh.
Random, tangentially related content. The AX you're talking about with Amano, that's Anime Expo, right?
Yes, yeah, Anime Expo. So Yoshitaka Amano is one of the first announced guests of honor for this year's AX.
I might be volunteering for that.
Yeah, if you can. Yeah, he doesn't he's not a guest of honor very often. So
yeah. Well, I mean, just because I wouldn't mind, checking out the scene again.
Yeah.
I'm not the young degenerate hotel party guy I used to be, but expos are always fun, and a family friend of ours runs tech for Anime Expo every year.
Nice. Yeah,
so
we got.
I might volunteer for tech crew for that.
Oh yeah. Any way that you.
Which con was that you said?
Anime Expo
Anime
in LA.
Expo.
Yeah, or Anaheim.
Yep. Oh.
Yeah.
Please said Anime Nexus. I was like, you're working that too?
Oh no. No, I don't work stuff outside of California. I haven't done anything in since like 2013, and even then I wasn't volunteering. I was just an attendee. But back in the day, it was just Anime Expo and Comic Con.
Did you ever make it out to FanimeCon?
I never made it to Fanime, and I wish
Oh
I had.
man,
There have been some good years.
Oh
of
my
Fanime.
god, my favorite years was 2009 to 2013. That 4-year period. A lot of it had to do with the staff we had at the time and the guests we were able to land. So the fun fact, real quick before we end, fun fact about FanimeCon is planning meetings. There's several planning meetings, prior to the con, of course. One of them happens in November, and the event takes place in May over Memorial Day weekend. So there was this one time we headed down to San Jose, California, where it takes place at the McHenry Convention Center. It's real close to Santa Clara, but it's in San Jose. And the funny thing was, there's this one trip we went down for a planning meeting, and we got stuck down there, and the car was having problems, and there was this lady, she was from Britain, and I don't know why she was driving, but she was like using Britain driving rules or whatever, and like stopped in the middle of the road, and we unfortunately we hit her, and the radiator exploded, and we had a leaky radiator. And so the funny part was the car would still work, but it wouldn't reverse, and we had to buy an entire bottle of radiator fluid just to get from point A to point B. And the hotel that we had was about 7 miles away, because we didn't know what we were doing that year, and we were like trying to save money, so we're like, let's get this one, it's like 7 miles away. So for 7 miles, every 7 mile trip back and forth between the hotel and the planning meeting, because we stayed for 2 days down there, we would go back and forth and put a bottle of radiator fluid in. And we had one friend who would actually hop out of the car and push it for reverse, and that was our reverse.
Oh.
And it was a pretty crazy
reverse. It was a bigger issue than radiator fluid.
Yeah, it was.
That's some drivetrain shit.
It was bad. It wasn't our car. It was a friend's car. And I don't know what he did after that too.
Okay.
I don't know what I was saying. I don't know what he did afterwards. He took care of it, but I know that he ended up in a junkyard, sleeping overnight in the car in the junkyard. And then I had my mom and my stepdad back then come and pick up my other friend and all of our press stuff. So it was something. It was something. Oh, you know what?
You just left him there.
You know what? My bad. I just remembered that was actually during a con, not at a planning meeting. We had another thing happen at a planning meeting. November 2011, we had a really funny thing at a planning meeting where there was a play going on nearby the convention center at the same time, and we were there was all these like actors and stuff like walking around, and we were like trying to get to the right room, and we had these. We had these people with us that we were trying to get in as guests because they were advertising for like a how do I put this? Do you guys know what Itasha cars are? I think Osh does.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
They're basically like, imagine like a semi truck, but like super decked out.
Yeah, yeah. So,
It started with the trucks and it worked down to cars.
have you guys seen those
just like
before?
Everything
So like
look
cars with
super,
anime wraps.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
super
yeah.
gaudy,
Oh,
super
oh,
gaudy,
yeah.
lot of
Oh yeah,
light.
Anime Next is a car show. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
back in the day, there was a time where you didn't see those that much in the U.S. In the mid to early 2000s.
Yeah, we
and
only had like the Pikachu car that went.
you'd see the Pikachu car, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Well, yeah, speaking of cars and anime, so at Anime Next, the only car show we've done so far, in 2019, this racing team came in with all their cars.
Uh huh.
Just straight up Initial D.
They had a Toyota Sprinter Chrono AE86 painted up like Initial D.
Oh,
Nice.
They had the Panda Traino. Nice.
Yep.
Better have been blasting Eurobeat.
We had to turn off their sound system, unfortunately.
There was some old friends of mine. We were trying to get into the like Itasha scene, and these guys that I had befriended because I covered their car at an event. They actually had a whole team set up where they would regularly do like vinyl wraps, and nice. it was pretty cool. We had like a BlackRock shooter car. We had a Burst Angel.
Nice.
We had a Burst Angel car. We had we had of course we had a Vocaloid car. Oh yeah, those series. like
people know BlackRock shooter just from the Miku song, not the anime.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I've met people that knew the anime only and didn't know the song, and I was like, "What? Like you don't know the song?" but we had some really nice ones, and so I had these friends with me, and we were we were trying to work on where we would put the cars at Fanime and stuff like that. Ended up I don't think it ended up working out at Fanime for them, but it was a good time nonetheless. And what was really cool about FanimeCon is they have a history with this one particular guest. And it's a good history. I know saying that today, there's like a lot of bad stories out there, but it's a good history. It's a good history. Yeah, it's a good history. It's Hiroyuki Yamaga from Studio Gainax, known for Evangelion and Gurren Lagann. And Yamaga-san has been a part of Fanime for a long time, like going back to the early 90s. And so what he'll do is he's what's known as a reoccurring guest. And a lot of times, this goes way back to when he was younger, and he got to be friends with the old. It was like an anime resource group folks that formed the society that oversees like certain cons, and it's this whole like convention circle, like
PGA.
Like pretty much this big circle of that's jokingly referred to as like the convention Illuminati, like just this big circle of owners and stuff like that run events, and they're fantastic people though. These guys, early days I got to know him, and he came to some of the very first ones, if not the very first one, when it was still like a college club, so it was like a big deal. Might be off a little on which year that was, but what's cool is he's always continued to come. So Yamaga-san, is the president of Studio Gainax. It's kind of a big deal. And when the Gurren Lagann movies were coming out, he brought the Gurren Lagann entire staff, like Studio Trigger just showed up and was like, "Hey, what's up?" Before they were Studio Trigger, and it was really awesome because there's guests like him, and there's a few other ones out there that have just showed up and done more than what we even asked for because they're so easy to work with, or they're so gracious and grateful to be a part of these events. And believe it or not, there are more Japanese guests and creators of famous things that live here in Cali, and you would think we're in Japan. Like the guy that made Kamen Rider, he lives like not that far from here. He lives like an hour away from me in Sunnyvale. So it's like the guy that made Kamen Rider, like he's like right there. And he comes to our events too. He does technical designs for games like Battlefield and stuff too, on top of Kamen Rider, things you wouldn't even expect. But Yamaga-san is just a super friendly, awesome person, and he brought all these like goodies, all these promotional goodies from Japan that he gave out at planning meetings. So the planning, I want to say that I love the planning meetings for Fanime so much. You never know what to expect. I still have these funny like Gurren Lagann hats that he brought one year here in my room. But we're out of time here for this recording. We got a perfect hour and 20-ish, hour and 22 minutes recorded here for this episode. This was episode 14 of Azure Infinitum Podcast. I want to thank everybody who listens to this. Thank you for sticking with us. Thank you for listening to our episode. If you made it this far in, we love you, and we're happy to have our listeners, continue to tune in each episode. Whether you're a new listener or a new member in our community, or you're not in our community and you just love listening to us anyway, and you want to join our community, don't forget we always have all the information you could possibly need listed on AzureInfinitum.com. Just make sure you put that https://www.azureinfinitum.com in the address bar. You're going to find a join us page as well. Everything you need to know about joining our Azure Wing in Destiny, which we would love to have more recruits for. We've also
slight aside.
Yeah.
Beyond Light just became free if you have PlayStation Extra.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yes.
I got to get into that. Was that the first expansion? Or
No.
second? Okay.
It was
I'm new to
the
Destiny,
third.
so...
Technically the fourth
Okay.
expansion if you count
Okay.
Warmind
Well, yeah,
and the other one.
which expansion are we talking about?
Beyond Light
Beyond
is
Light.
the one that.
Oh, that's before Witch Queen. Yeah.
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 It's the second most recent one right now until Lightfall happens.
Are you able to play that without playing the one before it?
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, you
Yeah.
can't even
Okay.
enter a lot of the stuff before it because it's vaulted now.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's vaulted.
See, I'm new to Destiny, and I'm at this point in the game where I've just been trying to progress in it because I'm going to reveal this now, I guess. I have secretly been trying to progress in it so I could show up one day, like, all powerful at the Wing
what?
event. And so I've had this character I've been secretly building up that's...
So we've got this whole anime training montage going on here.
Exactly,
Right?
exactly. I've been...
Wait. You know what needs to actually happen now, right?
What's that?
We need to figure out when Rick is in Destiny and playing Crucible, then we all need to queue in and try and hunt down Reika.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
yes!
So I'm still not like super far, but I've got my power level in like the mid 1500s or something. Like I don't know if that's
You're
even
getting
good.
there.
Is that getting
Yeah,
there?
you're getting there.
Is it getting?
You're getting there.
1592 is, I think, the soft cap right now.
What should I be aiming for?
Well, 1590 is
Oh, really?
just the soft cap right
Oh,
now.
okay,
That's
okay.
a soft cap outside of doing like raids and getting exotics and stuff.
So yeah, I'm getting there. Played a little bit of Iron Banner the other day when that was when that was
Alright.
real
I'm sorry,
popular.
It is
Some
not
Iron
Iron
Banana?
Banner.
Alright.
It is
Iron Banana.
Iron Banana!
Please, hey, we need Reika, right here. Put the Iron Banana meme from Google on here, please.
Oh my god.
I will send you the image if you want.
Yeah, but it's pretty cool. I'm used to story all the time. That I play games specifically for the story. So in our chat in Discord, I was like, how do I continue the story? Because I got to a point where I have no idea where to go now, and there's like
Yep.
no
Yeah,
cues that I can find.
That's a problem with like current state Destiny. Like if you've been playing Destiny 2 since launch, you'd have a lot of story.
Hmm.
Yep.
But they got rid of the best piece of story the franchise has
Red
ever
War.
had.
Oh man, why did they do that?
No.
The-
Red War,
the Colonel.
Red War was really important, but no, Forsaken.
Oh my god. Okay,
My
okay.
Okay.
We need to talk
We are
about
not
the most
going there.
powerful seed. No, we need to talk about the most
No,
powerful seed
no.
Destiny ever made.
Next episode.
Yeah.
We'll do a little bit more focus on Destiny next episode. But I just wanted to.
Really, you
The
should
first time the Guardian talks.
Oh,
Yeah.
awesome. Well,
you should get Beyond Light because it unlocks a whole new.
okay. I mean, I would love to play through the current one and then the one that's coming out in a couple weeks, Lightfall, right?
Oh, you
Yeah,
guys
Lightfall.
realize Rick is going into Beyond Light not knowing Varric's history.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah.
I have no idea what
be
to expect.
fair,
Like,
didn't we all kind of not know Eric?
Excuse me. I've been playing Destiny 1 since the alpha. Thank you.
Yeah, I played Destiny 1.
you know what? I alpha tested it too. I've still got it on my PlayStation thing I can
I
download.
lost my outfit.
It still allows me to download it, but it doesn't do anything. But
So when I was in college, I can never remember the guy's name now because I've not talked to him in nearly a decade, I think. One of the original developers of Destiny was a guy I went to school with earlier on.
Nice.
And when they built one of the first alpha tests, he was just looking for people to say, hey, do you think this is something you'd enjoy playing? And he brought it to the school and just like a bunch of us just tried it on a demo thing, and I'm like, oh, this is actually kind of nifty.
Yeah, I had a funny video of me running around the alpha, and then I just didn't go back. I never bought the first game.
Yeah, then I got invited into the closed beta, which was a lot of fun. And the open beta was even funner.
That reminds me, why am I playing Mahjong? Could farming site.
All right, guys, that's it for this episode. Like I said, you can go to our website and find out any information that you need to get involved with any of our activities, whether you're in 14, Final Fantasy 14 online, or Destiny 2, or if you're not in either and you just want fun people to chat with, you want to hang out in our community, share and talk about games and movies, music, and all sorts of things. AzureInfinitum.com is your place to be. We are an active, growing, global, inclusive, organized, active, and friendly community that is welcoming everybody to join us and just have a good time. So thank you again for listening, especially if you made it this far in our episode. We appreciate our listeners, and we're going to have a good time here with our next episode. It's going to, a little spoiler for the next episode, we're going to do a Destiny focus, and probably if we get any more information on Final Fantasy 14 patch 6.35, we'll be talking about that too, but I'm not sure exactly when we're going to know about that.
This is one thing we already know about is going to happen.
We do know some things ahead of time
More
because of the releases,
Somehow,
but
yet still,
yeah.
more Manderville.
Yep, that's all I want. I'm
So-
literally sitting in game on my Hildy alt.
somehow,
doing the Manderville in front of the Aft Castle Aether A.
somehow, yet still more drum rolls for our raffles.
Oh my god.
See, she
Okay.
knows.
I'm going to be straight up with you, Reika. You pull that shit again.
In-game raffles with drum rolls going on, and we actually have a drum roll in-game because we asked the bards to pull out their drums, and we actually had somebody like
I
like
really loved.
I was like, more
I
drum
really
rolls.
loved when that happened.
even more drum rolls,
fact,
even more
actually
drum
have a
rolls.
bard.
Somehow yet further drum rolls.
Very few people know this, but I actually have a bard.
Oh, you have a bard.
I'm thinking that-
Phelana's out there
Three,
like somewhere.
2, 1, 1.5, 8, 17, 3.
Okay, Professor Farnsworth.
Our countdown in game got a little funny, but and during assemblies I don't go in VC because I got to concentrate on a lot of stuff that I want to share and type up for the community, and also manage the stream at the same time. But I can only imagine what our voice chat was like while we were counting down and being silly with the drum rolls.
It was great.
Yeah.
All right, you guys, thanks for listening. See you on the next episode.
Later.
Beta.